Prelims are done, and whether they rocked or flopped, they do not define you. The final exams are your real chance to shine. And yes, you still do have time to make it happen. Your final examinations in matric contribute 75% of your final matric mark. And 25% is made up of all the work that you've done from term 1, every test that you've written up to this point. Your final exams are your real shot, and you still have time to crush them. Now, let's get one thing straight here. The prelim examinations are one of, if not the most difficult exams you're going to write in matric and in your high school career. And that is because the different provinces are trying to prepare their strongest soldiers for the war that is the final matric exams. Because if you try to remember, each time in the beginning of the year when they show the national awards and they show all the percentages of provinces and this and that and that and that, they do give awards for provinces that have the highest performers and all that. So your province, Gauteng, Mpumalanga, Limpopo, KwaZulu-Natal, Western Cape, your province is trying its best to make sure that Free State comes out on top, Northern Cape comes out on top, Northwest comes out on top. And that's why the matric prelim examinations will always be difficult, because your provincial department is trying to make sure that you are well prepared to do well in your final exams. So on average, many people perform better in their final exams than they did in their prelims. And that's solely because of the reasons that I just gave you. The prelim exams are very difficult because provinces are trying to prepare you for the war that is coming at the end of the year. And also, for those of you that don't know, there is a rule that is called, that I would like to call, the 10% exclusion rule. I'll explain it further as the video goes on, but for now, just keep it at the back of your mind that there is a rule called the 10% exclusion rule, which can either work for you or work against you. But for the most part, it actually works for you. And until then, stick till the end of the video, and I believe that by the end of this video, you'll be more than well equipped to make sure that you prepare adequately and you perform at your level best for the final examinations. Now, without wasting anyone's time, I'll get exactly onto the 10% exclusion rule. Now we look at your assessment mark. That is the mark that you've gotten now from term 1, term 2, term 3, all combined. Everything that you've done from the beginning of the year up to this point. And then we compare that with the final examinations mark. Now, the 10% exclusion rule says that if it happens that, for argument's sake, for business studies, you get perhaps a mark of 60% during the year, that is from term 1 to term 3. Now that's your 25%, right? We often see people who get 100% in their matric transcripts, and we wonder why or how. It doesn't mean that throughout the year this person didn't get wrong answers in their tests. It doesn't mean that for every assessment and test throughout the year and June exams and prelim exams, this person never got anything wrong. What it means is that for their final examinations, business studies paper 1, business studies paper 2, they got 150 over 150, and the same for paper 2 as well. Same thing for mathematics and physics and life science, same concept. If for your final exams you get 150 for paper 1 and 150 for paper 2, the mark on your transcript is 150 or 150, which is 100%, irregardless or immaterial of what mark you got throughout the year. And this rule, the exclusion rule, applies with the 10% exclusion again, which I'll try now to explain in a better way. Assuming now, I think for me that's actually what happened, because my term 1 Afrikaans mark was, I think, 34 or 43, but my final Afrikaans mark was 80%. There is no way that KOKETSO, who got 43% for Afrikaans in term 1, 52 in term 2, and I think it was 60 something in term 3, managed to get over 90 in his final exams to make it come together to become an 80. The way that it works is, for my final exams, I probably got 80%. Paper 1, 2, and 3 combined gave me 80%. Because the way that it works is, if my final exam mark is over 10% higher than my syllabus mark, then they take this and they exclude the syllabus mark, the mark that you got throughout the year. We'll go back to our 60%. If my business studies mark is 60% throughout the year, and I managed to get over 70, 71 and above for my final exams, they won't take 75% and 25%. No, they're just going to take 100% of this. Similarly, if my mark is 60 here for my throughout the year mark, and for the final exams I get less than 10% of a difference, that is, if this was 60 then now I get less than 50, that is 49 and below, they disregard this and they give me my 49. Now this is a rule that for the most part it works in your advantage. It's very rare for someone to drop from a 60% to 50% in their exams, but it's very probable or very possible for someone to go higher than a certain percentage when it comes to the final exams. So I think with that in mind now, you know what I mean now when I say that. It's very much possible to get the distinctions in your finals that you didn't get during your matric year or even in your prelim examinations. So keep on watching this video. Now before we get any further into the video, I'd like us to give a proud mention to the sponsors of today's video, Brilliant.
Brilliant is one of the best platforms out there if you want to sharpen your mind and learn in a way that actually sticks. They've got a wide variety of courses across maths, science and computer science, but today I want to highlight one in particular: logical reasoning. This course is all about strengthening the way you think. It trains you to analyze problems, spot patterns and draw solid conclusions. Skills that are not only useful for academics but for everyday decision making too. And the best part? Brilliant teaches you through interactive problem solving instead of just reading theory. You get to do the exercises step by step, which helps you truly understand the concepts. If you are someone who wants to build sharper thinking skills and approach problems with confidence, then this course is just for you. Click on the link that is in the description box down below or visit brilliant.org/koketso/ and you will get 20% off an annual premium subscription, and that is access to everything that Brilliant has to offer. Let's get back into the video.
Now the first tip of this video is you want to reflect on your prelims and use your prelims as a guideline. It's very much possible for you to look at your prelim exam marks and start to get demotivated, or look at your prelim marks and look at this as, oh my word, this is actually where I am. No, you can use your prelims now to guide how you're going to study going forward. That is, the topics that you struggled with most in your prelim examinations. I saw that for my prelims, my Afrikaans was very much, I'll say bad, because it was not a distinction. And I focused on it going into my final exams and I managed to get a distinction at the end of the year for Afrikaans. So that's what you're doing now. You look at your weaknesses, you look at your strengths, and the ones that are actually weak, your weak points, are now your areas of focus going into the final examinations. It doesn't help to practice solve for X 112 times when you already know that you always get everything right for it. Practice it 6 times this time around. Don't do it 100 times anymore. Do it 7 times this time around. You've already done it 100 times. Do it 7 times this time around. And then the other 93 times of this 100, practice something else that you know that you've been struggling with throughout the year. This is the time to do that. In trying to give certain topics much more attention, it might happen that you end up neglecting certain topics or you end up neglecting certain subjects. I'm not saying that because now you are focusing on Afrikaans, you forget about tourism, you forget about business studies, you forget about physical sciences. You also need to give them attention. Now, this is why it's very important to create a study plan. A study plan that you look at every single day, you review every day to say, okay, I think I made a video where for certain subjects, I highlighted them in pink, I highlighted others in green and others in, I think it was orange or yellow, where green means easy, right? So my physics and maths, the ones that I know if I don't study, I'm still gonna go past tomorrow. And then the red were danger, which for me were geography and Afrikaans. And the yellow is the ones that are in the middle, in between. The life science is the one that I'm passing, but I'm not satisfied. So that's actually how you can gauge your things. That's how you can put your things, so that you know that if I have 10 days to study, I don't spend 7 days on Afrikaans and 3 days on the other 7 subjects, for me who had 8 subjects. If you have 10 days to study, you can spend 3 days on this, 3 days on that, and yeah, like make sure that the way that you divide your days is in a way that is adequately supportive of where your weaknesses and strengths are. But that doesn't mean that there's going to be any single subject that you're going to neglect. Make the study plan to make sure that you're on track on every subject. And now this next tip is actually a tip that I touched on in a video that I said is the most important academic video that I've ever made. Study actively. There's nothing more important than this right now, especially now when you are days or even weeks, I think it's days leading up to your examinations. That's what I do even now as I'm in medical school. I will study now. I think I'm writing the genital system test next week. So for the next days, I'll be studying very passively, just reading, writing, stuff like that, just going through lecture slides, just understanding. 3 days before, 2 days before, and the night before, I am there teaching it to myself. Okay, so Koketso, you do know that we have a condition called bifid penis, which is a condition where we have something called a vasectomy, which is, so I explain it to someone. I mean, I don't have someone to explain it to. So what I do is look at teddy bear. If you have any, you explain it to a teddy bear. You can even walk around your room talking to yourself. So just teach it to yourself. Be able to explain it, and in your mind, always ask yourself why. I've always said that this is something that actually helped me an awful lot. I always ask myself why. So as an example, I'll use maybe the gastrointestinal system. So there's a module called MGAS, gastrointestinal system. Sorry. And an example I'll use is, let's say, okay, when there is food or bolus somewhere in the body, somewhere in the gastrointestinal tract, the food has to move and it'll stimulate, the presence of food is going to stimulate contractions. Why? Because the food has to move. And how does it make those contractions? It's either through mass movement or through peristaltic movements. Why? So always asking myself, okay, there needs to be secretion of certain molecules, not molecules, hormones, the likes of gastrin. If it's carbohydrates that are there, then we need the secretion of amylase enzymes. If it's proteins that are there, then we need pepsinogen and every other enzyme like that. So that's the way that you ask yourself. Like, if you don't understand something, or if you feel like you're actually understanding something well, ask yourself why. Why? To a point where you get stuck and then you go back to your book. But make sure to not go out of the scope of what you're supposed to learn. Because yeah, if something is not in your exam guideline, for now I'm to. And the fourth tip of this video is you want to do past papers. Practice. Very cliche, you've heard it too many times. If you've been watching videos today, YouTube videos about study tips, I promise you, this is probably not the first video that you've heard someone telling you to do past papers. And I promise you again, they're not lying to you, because past papers are what properly prepares you. Now, what I always say and I always do is practice past papers under exam conditions. It doesn't help to do a past paper at home listening to music and when you get to an exam, there's no music. I've gotten to points, I think I'm guilty of actually not doing what I'm telling you to do. I've gotten to points where when I study and I do past papers listening to music. So in a test, I'll be singing songs in my head to try and remember things. I'll be literally just sitting there and I'm writing a test, and inside I'm busy singing a song. I'm singing Igwij or whatever when I was studying I was listening to. So please, don't be me. So do better. Practice past papers under exam conditions. Sit yourself down, set the time. If it says that maybe past paper is supposed to be 3 hours, try it in 2 hours. Try it in 2.5 hours. So you give yourself time in the exam to actually go through certain questions, to check if you answered everything, to check that you're satisfied with your answers, because it's always recommended to write too much than to write too little. If they ask you a question at 2 marks, if you're 4 marks to say all your 4 marks, but make sure that you start with the answers that you're most sure about. Because they say if you're gonna give 4 points for a 2 mark, they only mark the first 2. So make sure that whatever you're writing, the first 2 of that 2 marks is the one that you're very certain and very sure about. And the last tip is actually the most important tip. It is that you want to take care of yourself. Rest well, sleep well, eat well, treat yourself right, stay hydrated. Try to avoid energy drinks as much as possible. Puzamanzi. Normalize having ice or water with ice cubes, man, when you study. Trust me, that thing is refreshing. That thing will open your brain. Take walks when you have to. Take care of your body. Exercise if you have the time to. But sleep enough. It doesn't help to cross night and sleep 1 hour, and then when you get to the test, you feel lazy to think of the answers that you were cramming the entire night. And so, this has been KOKETSO. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it helps you. For those of you that have stayed up until this point of the video, please like the video. And something unfortunate actually happened. I accidentally broke my phone, so I'm currently trying to raise the funds to fix it. So for now, I'm actually using someone's phone to film this video. It's going to be quite a struggle to try and remain consistent, because I have to depend on whether people are available for me to use their phones or not. But yeah, until then, I'll still try my best to make sure that I give you the tips, because KOKETSO broke his phone doesn't mean that you shouldn't pass. So I will make ends meet, I promise you. But yes, until then, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And always remember, as I said, a dream delayed is not a dream denied. Stay happy and healthy, and peace.